honestly, I never had intention of watching that movie. I didn't. It wasn't in my radar. Truth to be told, I thought that I was gonna have this week free, but well, sometimes my obsession of movies can be a little bit of my downfall, especially when I begin to hear say a lot of people that it was actually good, and when something says that it's really good, I just sometimes can't help to go with it. So yep, I'm talking about Obsession, the latest BlumHouse horror movie that came out during. I don't know. You know what? I could call it summer because today we really had a really high temperature. It's almost like summer came really early, and so I'm gonna try my best to end this a little bit quickly, or considering how because sometimes I don't like to make these vlogs with the air conditioner out because then it's gonna be hard to hear, and I don't want to raise my voice too much because well it's part of my training, I'll say. So the reason so I never saw much of the. I only saw kind of like a trailer. I saw kind of like a teaser about it. It's not like one of those movies that they promoted very heavily, like the Star Wars movie that is gonna come out next week. So I was like, okay, this is another one of those movies that is gonna come out and it's gonna come and go. But then I begin to hear people talk about it very positively. So my curiosity peaked. So long story so short, I decided to go beating the heat. Thankfully, I went. I did go with a bottle of water and well, thankfully also the movie theater that I went to have a decent air conditioner. And honestly, it was a packed house. I was surprised that a lot of people wanted to go into this movie. Apparently, the word was pretty positive on that. And I am gonna say that after watching the movie, I can see why this movie has this positive affection on people. Because after many tries from kind of like it's so okay or terrible BlumHouse movies, finally it's been a while since I saw a movie that not only was disturbing, but I laughed my ass off. Because let me tell you, the movie named Obsession is. I'm not gonna say that it's kind of like the best movie there is, because a lot of people are giving it really positive in a sense that it is scary. But I wasn't scary, but I can see why why people can be scared, because there are some good elements that can get you scared. But for the rest of the movie, there was kind of like this element that I don't know, but I just wanted to laugh because there's this horror movie named Wish Upon, in which it's a terrible movie, but it's worth your watch because it's so hilarious. In which that movie has kind of like this romance subplot, in which it's basically the monkey's paw story, in which someone makes a wish and then it comes to bite you in the ass, because well, wishes they take the things a little bit too literal. In this Wish Upon movie, they have this subplot about the main character wishing someone to fall in love with the main character. Apparently they saw that and they decided to make a movie out of it. And here we go. We have Obsession. And so let's get this on because man, that I don't want to. I'm gonna try my best to not spoil too much about this movie, but man, I just want to express how much of a good hilarious time I had with Obsession. So the movie stars this guy. His name is Bear. He's played by. Let me see the name of the actor here. Give me a second. He's played by Michael Johnston. He's a hopeless romantic in which he wants to tell his crush Nikki, played by Indina Barrett, in which that he loves her. But unfortunately, he sucks at it. He's socially awkward, and even though he's getting support from his friends, he can't until he at the moment in which he finally gets his chance, because well, he's in a bar and then he's also grieving that his cat died because somehow the cat got into the medicine cabinet and overdosed itself. I don't know how it happened, but my God, not even a second and the pet dies. It dies. So in the moment in which he was supposed to finally confess her, he got the opportunity to confess his love to her. He blows it. He really blows it. And then out of desperation, he picks up an item that he picked up a little bit earlier in the movie. This item is called One Wish Willow, which basically is kind of like a stick in a very 1950s or 1960s kind of box. You know, like these classic boxes that you could get from candy. But what it has, it's kind of like this stick, of course, a willow that kind of looks like a cigar. I'm not gonna lie, kind of looks like a cigar, in which it says that you have to make a wish and then break it in half, and well, that's what he does. He wishes that his crush is madly in love with him, and that's what and long story short, that's what happened. His crush then suddenly begins to fall in love with him. Isn't that sweet? Wrong. She gets so much in love to the point that she wants to stay with him all the single time in a really, really creepy manner. She's constantly having kind of like some mood swings, like or something like that. Because I'll get to that later. But the point is that she becomes kind of like this obsessive stalker that basically it scares not only him but everyone begins to say that, dude, she's really attached to you and she's not kind of like the same person. And the more the movie goes on, she begins to make more and more disturbing things in the name, technically in the name of love. And our main character Bear, he I don't know why he's called Bear. It's like naming your kid Panda or Dolphin. It could be worth naming. It could be named Blue. But anyway, the guy, because he basically has his wish, he just go along with it. But when things get out of hand, this is where he's like, I don't know, maybe it's not like that. So that's kind of like the premise. It's a monkey's paws movie with more horror twist and a little bit of kind of like a romance. And not gonna lie, that the part of the romance, it kind of makes me a little bit roll my eye, because it's not kind of like my cup of tea of movies, except because some of the romance part can get a little bit kind of like okay or something like that, but when it slowly builds up into the horror, this is when, I'm not gonna lie, some parts are disturbing, but sometimes I just kind of laugh at it. But here's the big reason why I mostly laugh at the movie, and it's because the main character, Bear, Michael Johnston, he deserves an award for the most idiotic protagonist I have seen this year. The whole movie, he's just an idiot. and he makes wrong decisions after wrong decisions after wrong decisions, mostly because this guy, he it gives you kind of like the signals that something is wrong, and even though he basically finds out that, yeah, this is not good, he still he still keeps up at it because he just don't want to lose the girl that he likes. and boy, Dad, he's just idiotic, and in a way, he's also a scumbag, and I'll get to that, by the way, because that this dude, it even comes to a moment in which it really crosses the line, and at that point, he should consider that. No, I should run away like 100 miles away from her, but no. Although there are some times that I can understand why he can't, but all the time, most of the time, he's this hesitant, hopeless romantic that, God, Dad, you just wanna slap him because he's such an idiot. But on the other hand, we got Indy Navarrete as Nikki. I would say that for the scariest parts of the movie, she nails it. She really does an excellent job of being not only a creepy character, but a really, really disturbing kind of observational. Well, I wouldn't say exactly villain, because she's more like a victim of the wish making, and she goes like lovey-dovey in her eyes in a very creepy manner that she doesn't want. She gets very possessive to the point that she doesn't want him out of her sight, and in which she begins to talk creepily. And there are moments in which the movie emphasized the creep factor by making her, hide in the shadows where you don't see her face. And almost like, that's what I like. The lighting, when sometimes she acts like a creep, you don't see her face. She's just there in the shadows, which really signifies that she's not herself, but another person. And it really does, because the whole thing is that with the wish that it made, it's almost like she turned into another person, and apparently her apparent soul is kind of trapped into this other Nikki, because there's that time the movie just kind of clues that whenever she gets kind of like in a state of mind or unconscious, she kind of freaks out and something like that. At the end of the movie, it does realize that it's almost like two personalities kind of like clashing in a way, and it's because of that wishing willow and all that it had. Oh, by the way, that wishing willow, the movie was actually clever that there is a website kind of like having this fake promotion. It's kind of like a fake website that totally sells the product and say, hey, you're gonna get this, you can only get one wish per life, and by the way, to get your wish, it's just $8. It's kind of like the cheapest thing you could ever have, by the way. Just $8 for you to change your mind. And also the website really told you that, okay, we're not responsible for anything that if it backfires and everything. And it also tells kind of like the rules and everything. Yeah, and there's also a phone number where it actually goes you to a hotline, in which it's also in the movie that the guy, our protagonist, he decides to finally call the customer service, and there's this kind of like unemotional guy. He's like, I am what you did. There's nothing you can do about it. I don't know. It's something like the guy has no soul and all this stuff. And by the way, we don't know almost nothing about where this willow come from. Why it's just there. It's kind of like the MacGuffin of the whole thing. I don't know. Probably comes from the same factory that gave us the what was it? It could be from Hogwarts. I don't know. It could be from the remains of the Tales from the Crypt or Final Friday the 13th or something like that. It's just that. That's kind of like hilarious. But either way. And in a way, it's mostly kind of like the spontaneous outbursts of our actress, of Nikki, that when she's kind of like this spontaneous kind of thing, it comes out of nowhere, and you just kind of feel disturbed of how she goes there. Even there comes like a point in which she gives out that really disturbing meals, as well as taping the door shut so you wouldn't go to work, or she just stands there and then she just gets her bodily functions while she's standing like a door, like a demented puppy. That's the kind of like disturbing. So there's also the other characters. There's the best friend and neighbor of the bear, he's played by Cooper Tomlinson, and let's say that he is kind of like the rash guy, and probably the only guy who actually has some some common sense into this whole thing, even though he doesn't know what happened. He's like, dude, I don't know, something is wrong with her. Even the other friend, named Sarah, played by Megan Lawless, they're like, dude, she's different, and everybody's telling this idiot, there's something wrong with her. I don't think so. There's something wrong, and the guy just keeps going and on and making kind of like excuses, a lot of excuses, just because he's torn between he got his wish and I don't want to go with her. Apparently this guy hasn't even heard the term never sleep with crazies. That's the whole thing. And especially, and things get out of hand, especially during the scene in which she forces herself into a party, in which and the way she acts is kind of like hilarious. This is where, again, I already told you about the cinematography, which is well done, especially when they like the character to showcase that she's not that character, and the camera, and the camera shot of her expression, like, oh my god, but for all intents and purposes, it's hilarious. And sometimes I will say that there are some jump scares here and there, but I will say that they are passable. There is kind of like a violent scene in which it comes kind of like spontaneously, and honestly, it is disturbing because I'm not gonna say exactly what happened, but I'll tell you that it goes like bam, 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 bam to give you an idea, and it's both scary and at the same time hilarious. I don't know. Maybe it's me being kind of like morbid and trying to find some kind of morbid humor into it. So let's call this is probably a black comedy, for the best way I can describe it. Even though if you can take this movie seriously, I can understand if this movie is scary. It's scary, especially when I'm telling you that it's kind of like the thematic that is about It's about, well, be careful what you wish for, but at the same time, it kind of becomes a bit kind of like topical in the sense that you have a protagonist who he has a crush on this person, but that person doesn't reciprocate, especially when it blew up the chance. But then he wishes and then some kind of person kind of manipulates this person to fall in love with the protagonist. And well, and considering that it's that person, and there are kind of like signs that the other one is kind of like psychologically suffering, is and of course we got the character who basically had a lot of chances to fix things, even though there are some parts that he cannot fix it because of course, for starters, you can't make the kind of like another wish for yourself because it's a one-time wish, and apparently he didn't read the instructions, and also the movie doesn't specify because it did say that you cannot make another person to undo a wish or something like that. That's the thing. But he's still kind of torn into loving that person who's obsessed with you. But when it crosses the line, and it crosses the line. There's kind of like a moment that we get back to the One Wish Willow and the friends, and there comes a moment that it kind of becomes a little bit cartoony, but but when that moment happened, I think that was kind of like the biggest laugh that the audience had, and even myself, it was like, oh my god. And of course, while I'm not gonna reveal you what the ending is, I will say that the ending, while it does kind of fit with the theme that it has, but I feel no remorse for our protagonist because honestly, even in death, he makes things worse. And then the movie ends, and I said, here lies the biggest idiot of 2026. I just cannot help to call a protagonist an idiot, but it's understandable. Although, yeah, sometimes love can make people do the dumbest things, and this movie really have one of the dumbest characters that there is. Maybe it's just me, I'll say. So I will say that I will give a kind of like a thumbs up to Obsession, and I do recommend it. So check it out if you want to. Be careful what you wish for, because you only get one chance in both love and also one wish.